We are live in all of the places, I think. Let me know in the threadcast um if you guys see us live in YouTube and all of the different places. That'd be very helpful. I'm gonna get the announcements out. Eric, while I get these announcements out, do you want to just give like a brief on the monthly active user data, the content creators data, and some of the stuff on the marketing front?
Yes. First of all, welcome everyone to the, what is it, like the ninth, maybe 10th Wednesday show of 2024. Today is March 5, and I'm mentioning this because apparently the YouTube and the TikTok algorithm like when the person speaking say the date, because that means that we are like this is a relevant video. So guys, we are on a good trend. We have been going on a good trend, great trend, I would say, in terms of monthly active users. If you remember correctly, we have been growing from 500 users in January 2023. And today we are in February, as of February 29th, we are 1,519 monthly active users. That's a 3x growth, but we can do better. Of course, the team is doing a lot in terms of marketing to help spreading Leo everywhere, but also anything you do to help us, uh, it all stacks, you know? And we are 1,000, almost 1,050 monthly active threaders. That has been staying around 1,000 to 1,200 over the past few months, but we can do better. So if you know any hivers, if you know any ex enthusiasts that do want to earn a few bucks for threading and do want to own their own brand on chain, invite them. The good news is that we are almost 1,000 content creators, and this is the best month we have ever had on INLEO. We are 9,957 monthly active content creators, and we're almost 500 content consumers. So I don't know if these people creating content go to other front ends to comment, or if we just there's a lot of content creators who don't consume content, but this is pretty interesting to see. The point is, we're in a good path, but we do need to grow more, and we actually have a lot of marketing initiatives coming in the next few weeks. Why? Because the UI is almost ready to actually go mainstream, in the sense that all of the bugs are being fixed. And this actually opens the door to the next topic very, very well, in terms of bug fixing and UI features, Carl.
Yeah, so I've just got all the announcements out. I think we're good. So yeah, I mean, I've never been one to say like we should wait for the UI to be in any sort of position before we start to do things. I think you could be waiting for forever if your goal is to get perfection and then get to the masses. And when you even look at platforms like Twitter, and now it's obviously X, um, they still have downtime, and they actually had downtime last night. So it's kind of like a big news headline for them. But there's always going to be downtime. There's always going to be issues. That's part of technology, and that's I mean, even you look at something like a Coinbase, and despite having billions of dollars at their disposal, they're still having downtime and various issues. So there's always going to be issues. You can't just wait for perfection before you go out and do things. But that being said, we just had a new team hire last week. He started on March 1st, and his kind of unofficial title that I gave him is the lead exterminator. So he's very focused on bug fixes and making the UI buttery smooth and making sure all the features work great. And actually catching bugs before they even make it to labs. So, one thing he's doing is debugging code like as it comes in, as opposed to, we push features and we push new things and they're not, they haven't had any sort of testing or debugging. We just kind of push them live and then we test them in the aftermath. Um, and there's a lot of reasons why we do stuff like that. I mean, you guys know that, doing it live is a huge meme in our community. Part of the reason that INLEO is able to evolve so quickly and make such rapid progress is because we're not afraid to break things. And I never really want to lose sight of that. Being uh, being focused on progress means that you're going to have to accept that things will break. And when you look at any good company, any good startup, I think that's a lot of um, you know, I think that's a big part of the culture when it comes to building a successful startup is breaking things. I saw Taskmaster say there's basically a dedicated UI developer. No, there's a dedicated bug fixer. So there's so many aspects to UI development that I don't think the average person really understands. You've got back end development, you've got server management, you've got front end development, you've got bug fixing, you've got debugging. There are so many aspects to building a good front end that a lot of people just look at it as like, oh, you're just like pushing, you change the color here and you're just pushing a new theme. And they don't realize that there's a change to the server, there's a change to the database, there's a change to the back end, there's a change to the front end. You've got state management for all the different users, and then you've got all the different devices that a user could log in from, mobile, tablet, desktop. There's a lot that goes into even the simplest thing. So now we have someone that's basically just dedicated to when you guys report a bug, his job is to look for those bugs and fix them. Or at least, when I point the bug out to him, his job is to fix it. And then also, like I said, kind of almost like catching things in the bottleneck, like before they even reach where you guys would see them, he's able to debug the code itself, as opposed to like, we find it on the UI, report it, and then he fixes it. He's able to find certain things that don't even make it to that stage. So in general, the UI is just going to be smoother. It's not going to be perfect. You'll never catch all the bugs in debugging mode. You still need live testers. And there's a reason why, even though we push features to labs for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever before they make it to production, there's a reason why we don't actually find certain bugs until they reach production. And that's because you need 500 different users on all sorts of different devices and connections, using a feature in a different way in order to find certain bugs. So the process of bug discovery and fixing is one of the most annoying things in the world. Like I wish you could, if we could just push things with no bugs, it would be like the progress would be off the charts. We wouldn't be like, it's very much a game of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We push a lot of features, that's 2 steps forward, and then 1 step back. We have to kind of go back through and find what's broken and fix all that stuff before we can go the next 2 steps forward. So it's definitely a process, and building the team has been really fun and difficult, but I'm really happy with the current status of the team. And, just having this one new team member has already kind of motivated the other developers to, work harder and do better. And I gave Eric this funny analogy because we were talking about it over DMs, but I gave an analogy of like an ice cream shop. And imagine that, in our ice cream shop, the INLEO development team, there were, we had a team of ice cream scoopers, and the ice cream scoopers are all about like, let's bring new features, let's design new things, and let's push like cool stuff to the UI. But we didn't have a dedicated janitor. We didn't have a dedicated person to be, cleaning the floors. So, in between scooping ice cream, we had people that were also then cleaning the floors, who don't like to do that job and aren't necessarily, they're not necessarily focused in terms of specialization in that job of cleaning. Excuse me. As you can tell, my throat is still messed up. But we didn't have someone that was focused on that like more, cleaning job. So we basically pulled people off the line to do things in that capacity. And that, that's not very efficient. The people that like to scoop ice cream and are good at it, they don't want to be cleaning floors. They're first of all not very good at it, and second of all, they don't really care for the job. So they're not going to do a great job at it. So now having that dedicated person actually makes the rest of the team more efficient, because now you've got someone that can do the job and specialize at what the other people don't want to do and aren't specialized at. So they're able to scoop more ice cream and make their scoops more perfect. And then also the floors and the shop is cleaner and more efficient because you've got someone that's focused on that specifically. So that's my like little random analogy, but that is essentially what's happened with the team, and it's got a very tangible result in just the first. It's been 4 days, 4 or 5 days since the beginning of March. So it's a very tangible outcome that we've already seen. So we track issues in the GitHub, and last month we closed 14 issues for the month of February, and that includes new features and bug fixes. It doesn't include like some little tiny bug fixes. Like those are more like the bigger ticket items. There's certain things like if we fix some misspelled text, that's not counted as an issue. And then some issues are bundled together. So just keep that in mind. But we closed 14 issues in the month of February, and so far in the month of March, we're only 5 days in, and we've closed 24 issues. So we are, making a lot more rapid progress just with one new developer on the team. But like I said, having someone that's specialized in a certain area that we were kind of lacking in for pretty much since the beginning of INLEO. So it's definitely it's a tangible impact, and I think you're going to really see it take shape as the months go by. But it's tangible in just these first few days, and a lot of you guys have probably noticed that Labs is smoother than it's ever been and continues to get smoother every single day. So Task saying, is the plan to update the main UI once a week? It's the updates are pushed to Labs as soon as they're ready. And then when I decide that Labs is in a good place, I push it to production. So that is kind of the process. There's having these arbitrary fixed schedules. I do like the idea of like every Friday we push from Labs to production. But when we're in these early stages of like, 80% of the things that we're pushing are actually just bug fixes, it doesn't make sense for us to hold on to those bug fixes in Labs for so long, just out of an arbitrary calendar before pushing them to production. So there's likely going to be a push to production actually today, just because there's, like I said, over 20 bug fixes are now sitting on Labs that aren't on production, and Labs is very stable, and there's no reason to just hold back and not push it to production, because we're already, I'm starting to see complaints from people that, things are broken, but then I realize they're on production, not Labs, and on Labs it would be fixed. So, in these early stages, there's going to be a little bit more fluidity to the calendar. But eventually, I think we get to the place where, and especially with this new guy, debugging new features before they even reach Labs, and then having you guys test Labs, and then push back feedback, and then he fixes them right away. Then every Friday we push to production. I think that puts us on a nice schedule at some point in the future where things are just really stable on production. And then every Friday we push those new features from Labs to production. We need more testers on Labs. We need more people giving feedback. At the end of the day, like I said, to catch a lot of these bugs, we need hundreds of people using the UI on different devices, on different connections in different parts of the world, and using them in different ways before we can catch a lot of the features that have bugs before we, make it bulletproof on production. So that's kind of where we stand with expanding the team and building things out in that way. I'm really happy with the progress so far, and I think you guys are going to see a big difference going forward. And then I've got 3 more interviews this month to hire on 3 new developers. So we're expanding the team pretty rapidly. As you guys see with crypto, we're kind of heading into a bull market. So the war chest is getting significantly larger, which means we're able to kind of expand and add on these team members that will have a huge impact. That being said, I'm a close follower of startups and startup culture, and a big thing that's happening right now not just with startups, but with, tech companies in general is, massive layoffs at like Google, Facebook, X, all of them. They're focused on keeping a lean team, but still making great progress. And the advent of AI and the ability to use things like Microsoft Copilot and ChatGPT is making it there's less of a need to have like a massive team. So, the size of a team isn't as important anymore. It's more, who are those team members and are they able to leverage these new tools, to be one person who's as productive as five people used to be. So I'm kind of keeping my eyes on the team and looking at the people that I see that are doing the work of what five people used to do, but there's just one person that is, leveraging technology like AI, and working efficiently. So, I let some people go last month, and the month before that who I felt like weren't kind of up to par. And then, going forward, it's going to kind of be that kind of ruthless, we need to churn people out who aren't doing, aren't leveraging those tools and aren't making progress on their goals, as team members. And then getting people like this new guy in who, just with like a storm comes in, 15 items knocked off the list in 2 days. And you could just tell he's doing what five people used to be able to do or be capable of doing, but doing it all on his own. So it's really incredible to see the way that certain people work and leverage these tools.
Yeah, and for me to see how, you already mentioned it, but uh, I think he has done like 20 bug fixes already, and it's only been like 5 days in March. So if you find any bugs or if you find anything that you think the UI could improve in, send a thread with feedback with hashtag feedback, or send a DM to either me or Sansika, or maybe even in the quick help channel on Discord. Anything works. We need to, if we saw the UI 6 months ago and we compare that to a year ago, we would see a lot of progression. But now I think the UI compared to 15 days ago, it's so much better. And as I said at the beginning, people who are coming to INLEO are not facing any more issues. I mean, of course, there are a few bugs, etc., and maybe they have a different device or something. But in general, we are no longer facing uh, a, a bumpy onboarding process. So yeah, pretty excited for what lies ahead.
Yeah, and the key is that, it's never going to be 100% smooth, but the key is that for the new person, especially, coming in, their odds, we want to decrease their odds of seeing any sort of bug. So right now, I'd say, a new person coming in, their odds of seeing a bug are probably like 30%, of the time. So like the odds of someone who comes in day one and sees at least one bug is very high. So, my goal is just to reduce that percentage likelihood that a new person comes in and sees a bug, off the bat. The odds of you seeing a bug at some point in like the course of a week of using the platform right now is probably 100%. So, reducing those percentages is really key, especially for those new users, because a lot of the hardcore users are willing to say, okay, this is new technology. I'm on the bleeding edge. I'm willing to see a few bugs here and there when I do something like, using the dashboard or doing deep analytics or, looking through 1,000 threads. I'm likely to see some bug at some point. But for a brand new user who comes in, you want the account creation process to be as smooth as possible, and as bug-free as possible. And then you want them to be able to make some threads, read some threads, make a blog post, read some blog posts, make some comments. The basics, you want them to be able to do those without encountering any bugs, or at least make the percent likelihood very small. So that's kind of where I'd say our attention is really on that initial experience and like those core features. My goal for the team is that by the end of March, we have like that core, all the things I just explained of like core usage, to be either bug free or very low percent chance of bugs. I'd say under 10% chance of seeing a bug for those core things. So that's where the team's focus is right now, especially as we kind of heat up a lot of these onboarding, features and experiences, and initiatives that we have with other communities. So I know Eric's working with a few different large crypto communities that are going to start doing, competitions and various things on the INLEO UI. So we want to make sure that that core experience is bug free. I see a very strong likelihood that we start having thousands of new accounts get started. And, we're not going to retain 100% of them, but I want to retain a large percent of them. And in order to do that, we really have to focus on that core experience. Um, and you guys are a big part of that. So, like Eric said, I'd say one of the number one ways to give feedback is to make a thread and tag it hashtag feedback and include as many details as possible. Screenshots, steps to reproduce. Those are really helpful. You guys are a key part of getting to that kind of end goal of making it as smooth and bug free as possible. We need active testers and we need people giving feedback. That is ultimately how you get there. Like I said, it's very important to get that real time feedback to get to this place that I'm talking about, which is low percent bug detection.
Yeah, and speaking about community involvement, so basically, and this is just a hint, I'm gonna give you all the details, but basically what Carl said is going to be set in motion in this week or maybe next week. But basically, what we're gonna do is have a few different projects from other blockchains come to INLEO and participate in a sort of competition between each other, and it will involve being active on threads or maybe on posts or polls. But what I want to ask you guys in the audience, or maybe those listening in the future, if you have any idea of how we can make these projects get involved. For example, I don't know, we were thinking about, okay, maybe each project can have a hashtag and they can use that hashtag on threads, and then maybe we account for each unique person who used the hashtag, or maybe we account for every thread made with that hashtag, etc. And then we determine who won, or maybe we can go we can use another route. But there's 35 people in the audience. So if you have an idea, drop it in the threadcast. Maybe you inspire us to come up with something better than what we have planned. In the end, 35 brains work better than two sleep deprived brains. So yeah, just think about how you would do some sort of contest that involves having other projects from other blockchains participate on threads or posts or polls or whatever. Remember to keep it simple, because as you know, users who are not that familiar with INLEO are not going to be that Hive savvy. So yeah, that's basically it. Get creative.
Yeah, one of the major and Eric and I have been talking about and looking for ways um to improve this. One of the major you know benefits that we have, or kind of competitive advantages that we have as a platform, is the community, the hive mind, to speak, so to speak. It's the ability for all of us to kind of come together on a collective mission, and bring about a certain type of change. So, Hive has the reason why Hive is alive as a platform today, as an ecosystem, is because of the large community that is behind it, and large in terms of like the crypto space. In terms of the broad internet, it's a tiny little community. But that being said, it goes to show you that even a small community that is collectively aligned towards some vision is extremely powerful. That's why Hive, survived the entire, Steam fiasco. And, in my opinion, that's one of the severely underleveraged parts of Leo. I think Leo as a community is one of the few communities on Hive that has survived, all these years, and our 5-year anniversary is coming up in July of this year, in a few months. So one of the reasons why, Leo has survived all of these turmoils and, turmoils in terms of even just ourselves, but then also, steam to hive, that whole situation. We've been through 2 bear markets now. The reason why Leo has survived all of this stuff is because we have like this hardcore community, this core community. That community keeps getting bigger. So every day we look at, the kind of core monthly active users, the people who are extremely active on the UI, making a lot of threads, making a lot of blog posts, making a lot of comments, upvoting a lot. People who are active in Discord, actively promoting on X. People that are like the hardcore. I keep talking about the 1,000 true fans. We see that the 1,000 true fans on INLEO continue to grow in number. One of the underleveraged aspects of this platform is that, I think we can do more as a community. I think we can, do more organized events and planning and, like Eric said, if you have ideas, even just brainstorming good ideas, and bringing those ideas, up to the surface within the community. And then also, when Eric does take one of these ideas, and starts looking at the outside and talking to various communities, then helping to get those communities in by showing, look how active we are, look how, positive and good this community is. That's a key thing that other communities are looking for, especially in crypto, is like they want to interact with people that are both positive and have a large community and have a large impact. So the more that we can be doing these things together, the better. And another thing we've been talking about is, there's a lot of, and I see some of you guys in the audience right now, there's a lot of whales in the Leo community, people who have, let's just say, more than 15,000 Leo power. There's a lot of people that are, holding a lot of Leo stake. And there's a lot more that I think, these stakeholders could be doing for the platform. And I always like to use Taskmaster as a nice example because he just does a lot for the platform. Having initiatives of your own, like Leo Glossary, or music on Leo. There's a lot of things that you guys could be doing and stepping up into more like leadership roles within the community. And I would love to see more of the large stakeholders doing things like that, and really taking the bull by the horns, and stepping into these leadership roles and saying, we're kind of lacking in terms of, positive comments on X, both on the INLEO, main account tweets, and then also, on anyone else that mentions INLEO, our activity within the hashtag Web3 tag on X is kind of slacking. What can I do as a Leo holder to increase our activity there? And maybe one thing you do is you tell people, go be active in the Web3 hashtag, and I'm going to watch it on X. And when, Leo people are active there, I'm going to send you 10 Leo a week for being active, or I'm going to, upvote more of your content because I see that you're sharing it on X. So there's a lot of initiatives out there that haven't been started yet that could be started. And like Taskmaster said, you can join initiatives that are already going, or you can promote them. I think is like the average user, you should be looking through these initiatives and looking for ways to get involved. And I look at this as like both a selfless and a selfish thing. Like, selflessly, it grows the platform. Selfishly, by being involved with people like Taskmaster and saying, I'm going to get involved with his Music on Leo initiative. He's got a lot of Leo power. He's got a lot of Hive power. He also has a lot of influence on the Hive ecosystem. So, having him in your corner, having him know your name is, a valuable thing for your account. And one thing he's talked about too, and a lot of others have, is treating your Hive account like a business, treating your INLEO username like a business. So, being active and growing your network by being in these initiatives is a great way to grow your own account while also building the platform. So, so I really want to see more, of both sides, participate in more initiatives, but also if you're a big stakeholder, think of ways that you can step up and be more of a leader within the community, be more of a, and we were talking about being more of a positive impact person, rather than being negative. And I know there's plenty of negatives, not just in Leo, but in this whole, crypto ecosystem. It's easy to have, days where you just want to, tweet or thread out that you hate the world and whatever. But just being positive and having those leaders, when you look at platforms, ones that I like to follow, for inspiration, like Thorchain, their community, there's plenty of people that trust me, there's plenty of people that, shit talk in the Thorchain community and talk negatively about the price of Rune. But there's tons of people that own a lot of Rune that are constantly talking about how great the platform is. They're talking about the growth of volume. They're sharing screenshots of the growth. They're teaching new people on X about Thorchain. So I want to see more people in the Leo community kind of acting like that, having those leadership roles and really kind of taking matters into their own hands in terms of building up this community rather than tearing it down. So that's my rant on having more active positivity in the community. I think we could do with more of that.
Yeah, I mean, whenever, and I have seen it in many projects that I have been involved in the past, whenever you get a big holder, that big holder takes the bull by the horns and starts talking about the project, onboarding more people, having this sense of ownership that comes by holding a token, because in the end, they bought for a reason, but they also want other people to know about the project, to buy into the project, to believe it has potential, to believe it has upside. And in the end, INLEO is meant to democratize access and knowledge to finance and Web3. So I think more people should know about this. It's not that they don't want to be part of INLEO, it's that they simply don't know. And I see it all the time on X. People are like, oh, can you imagine if you had a decentralized social media where you could actually store your content on chain? Because all of these first iterations of social fi in general are just financial tools with their own servers for the content. But INLEO has the content, and everything that happens on INLEO goes on chain. So it's just a matter of telling people that we exist. And we are approaching a bull market, or we are already in a bull market. So it's all about foundations, but also about getting people to know what you're building. Otherwise, they will not be able to buy into it. So, and that I think that leads very nicely into the newest idea that we have as a utility for holding Leo power, and the scenario that we are in right now, that means we are in the bull market. We are opening a section on the INLEO Discord server where holders of at least 5,000 Leo power, which means the lion role on the Discord server, will have access to an exclusive and very small channel where we will discuss the alpha. I will share some of my calls. Cal will share some of his calls, how we are viewing the market, how we are seeing it's moving, where it's moving, and people will be able to share some of their insights, maybe some tokens that they just found, what they are looking at in the market, etc., etc. So basically like an alpha group, an exclusive alpha group for Leo power holders. So if you are close to getting to 15,000 Leo power, go get some in the, like, not financial advice, but go get some Leo tokens and stake them to get access to this private channel in the server.
Yeah, and I think this is like a cool first step, especially, very well timed that we're heading into a bull market. But I think this is a cool first step into, kind of the OnlyLeos vision, which obviously right now like I said, we're very focused as a dev team on the smooth core experience of INLEO. And until we really have a smooth core experience, we're not going to be pushing very many like brand new, like crazy big features like what I'm about to talk about. But once we get past this kind of this very core stage of making the UI work like butter, I think one of the next big features that we release is going to be OnlyLeos, and allowing you guys to have private basically like private groups or private feeds where you can subscribe to an author. So say someone like Taskmaster could have his own private subscriber only feed, both for threads and for blog posts. So he'll be able to push short form and long form content to a private feed only for people that subscribe to him and pay him monthly. So, for example, it would be like $5 a month, and then you would have access to, Taskmaster's subscriber only feed. And I really see like what Eric's setting up here with the alpha channel in Discord. I can see, that being like an early stage version of what we do with OnlyLeos, which is, if you have 15,000 Leo power, now we can have a direct subscriber only feed from like say the Leo Alpha account on INLEO. We can have a subscriber only feed for anyone who has over 15,000 Leo power, and it automatically puts you in that feed. And then we could also have it. We could say, you need 15,000 Leo power, or you need to pay 5 HBD a month in order to be a part of that subscriber only feed. So, if you have 5,000 Leo power and you want to get access, maybe you could pay 5 HBD, and then the HBD is used to buy Leo, for example. So a lot of really cool use cases, I think, are on the way when we release that. And if you look at the vision, and I've been kind of sharing this out more because I feel like, we released the docs a couple months ago, finally, and I feel like a lot of people still don't even know about it. So here and there, I'll link people to the docs when they ask certain questions. And I've been linking the Our Vision page a lot lately, because I think it's important to get everyone aligned on the vision of Leo and what this platform is meant to become. And kind of that key line is, to create a thriving creator economy. So, the creator economy in the Web2 space has been heating up for a long time. Things like Patreon and Substack have really taken off. And there's good reason behind that. So I think Web3 is where the ultimate vision of like a flourishing creator economy kind of comes to light. And that's with, tokenization, instant payments, zero fees, all your content on a blockchain where you can't be demonetized or removed as a creator. We have all of the key things needed to create like the next evolution of the creator economy. And I think a big part of that is the subscriber only feeds. So, that's going to be a big piece of the next stage of INLEO. And I think we're going to be able to onboard a lot of, and Eric's already working on this with various creators on X. But imagine that we have this subscriber only feed available. And right now, if you want to do the same thing, you've got to go to Patreon or Substack, or you got to use X's, inbuilt feature. But imagine that we go to a lot of these smaller creators, and I think the smaller creators are like really a good target audience for us, especially in these early stages of the platform. These small creators are earning $0 or maybe, small amounts of money, maybe a few $100 a month at most, by being small creators on X. And their goal is to build their brand and be able to monetize it so that they can, quit their full-time job and become a full-time creator. I think this is like a huge niche audience that we can go after. And going after them and then saying, build a base on INLEO, still do all your stuff that you're doing on X, but also build it on INLEO, cross post and build your audience here as well. And then you can have a subscriber only feed on INLEO. You can monetize through ad revenue, because we're already doing that. And you can earn Leo tokens, and you can reward your audience in Leo tokens so that they are more actively engaged with you. And maybe you'll make another few $100s a month, or maybe you'll even make a few $1,000s a month, by building on INLEO in conjunction with what you're doing on X. So I think this is like a huge gateway to getting creators and users funneled from Web2 to Web3 on our platform. So like I said, make the onboarding experience bulletproof, make it super smooth and bug free, or like I said, very low % chance of seeing a bug. And then get these monetization models in place for creators, and then combining those two things and going after these small creators, I think is huge. And by small creator, a lot of these creators have 200 to 2,000, like I said, hardcore true fans. So if one of these creators comes over, it's very likely they could bring, 200 monthly active users over with them. And these are tiny little creators that have small niches on X. So, and for us, 200 monthly active users is more than, what is that? Like a 15% increase in our monthly active user base right now. So small to the rest of the world, big for us. So it's a very collective vision is kind of slowly coming together here, both from a technical perspective, from a front end perspective, and from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, and for example, I see, for example, I'm in a few alpha groups on Telegram. One of them has 50,000 followers. I'm in another one with 12,000. This one has 100. It's a kind of exclusive. But the point is, people are using Telegram for these kind of things. People are using Twitter. People used these crappy first iterations of SocialFi to have exclusive chat rooms and exclusive content sharing platforms to engage with with their community in an exclusive way. So this is just paving the way to what we have in store. And remember that, well, I mean, not financial advice as well, but the bull market doesn't last 3 months. So we still have a lot of time. We're just getting started. We are planning to deliver this once, like Carl said, once we have the core user experience smooth as hell, we will continue to update and bring in new features. So yeah, bullish on OnlyLeos.
Yeah, I think the use case of OnlyLeos is going to be very interesting to watch unfold. And it goes back to my development, vision, which is, as a team, we are listening to what you guys say and what you guys want, and we develop the tools, and then you guys find the ways to use them. And then, what we make sure is that the economics are set up in such a way that you guys benefit from using them successfully, and also the Leo token absorbs value and it captures value from you guys being successful with them. So something like OnlyLeos, for example, the Leo token may take like a 1% transaction fee for every time someone pays a 5 HBD subscription to someone like, let's say, Taskmaster. So every time someone pays 5 HBD a month, the Leo token takes 1% of that. It captures 1%, and either it buys and burns Leo, or we do the Leo pooling, however we decide to capture that value. But ultimately, we build the tools, you guys are successful with them, you guys make money, Leo token makes money, and then that's how you get that kind of cohesive ecosystem. And premium is, premium has really kind of taken shape. I'm really happy with how premium's going. And I'm still focused on our goal to grow premium to 1,000 subscribers each month. Right now we're steadily at about 220 to 250 monthly premium subscriptions. And like I said, my goal is to kind of 4x that from here. But when we set out for that goal, we were only at like 130 premium subscribers. So we've already kind of 2x'd. And then I'd like to see, another 4x from here, so we can get to 1,000. But seeing that kind of take shape and grow is really cool. And the reason why is because I'm watching those Leo pool transactions. I don't know if any of you guys are, but five every time it reaches 500 HBD, it converts the 500 HBD into Hive, and then it uses half the Hive to buy Leo, and then it takes the other half of Hive that it bought, so 250 and 250, and then it pools it together as Beehive-B Leo. So that liquidity has steadily been increasing, and its ability to buy Leo every month has been increasing, and obviously buying Hive as well in equal quantities. So, at 250 subscribers now, you're looking at about $1,200 a month that's now buying Leo. So $1,200 in organic buying pressure, or you could look at it as like a floor price, if you will, for buying Leo. And that's in conjunction with Leo ads, and all the other things we've been working on. So it's really great to see that take shape. I know Taskers are saying Leo AI is going to be a real boom. Yeah, there's already about a dozen features. If you're premium, there's about a dozen, features that you get that other people don't. And there's so many more that we've got in store in terms of new features for premium. Obviously, AI, I think, is going to be like the big ticket, exciting one. That's a huge development, and we're still working on, the AI part of Leo. I obviously get to enjoy playing with it a lot, and kind of working with training the model and whatnot. So there's no real set release date for Leo AI, but at some point this year, I'm sure we're going to have something out in beta form. But all the other features too, like having an advanced view on the dashboard, and then all the other features we've already got on premium. It's really incredible to see it continue to kind of evolve, and I really want to see us hit 1,000 premium. I'm still kind of hammering away on the team of how we can, focus on getting to that goal, as fast as possible, because especially leading up to this bull market, like Leo is, pushing 8 cents right now. You've got, the rest of the market doing really well. Ethereum is doing extremely well. So I really want to see us, getting these things in place before Leo really starts to take off, because, getting to 1,000 premium, that means $5,000 worth of Leo is getting bought and removed from the market every single month. So, buying that Leo at a lower price obviously means it's buying more tokens for the same value that it would be if the price was 10x. So let's absorb as much Leo as we can at these low prices. That's really what I would like to see um, happen at the current stage.
Yeah, and speaking of which, in terms of adoption, so after a few weeks ago, we started to invite community members from Hive, from other communities on Hive, to start posting on INLEO. And an issue that they had was that there are some communities that have a required beneficiary percentage when they post to the community, and we didn't have that on INLEO. So I think the update was pushed yesterday, Cal. So now any person who posts to any community, if the community has enforced beneficiaries, we as in Leo are allowing this as well. So if you know anyone who stopped using InLeo because of this particular issue, just go tell them that we have fixed it. And yeah, I think that that was one of the main obstacles that we were having for bringing people posting to specific communities, big communities. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that as well.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I actually didn't even, Eric is the one that kind of brought it to my attention, but I didn't even know that communities on Hive had the ability to set enforce, they're called like enforced beneficiaries. So when Eric brought that up, and then we were kind of in talks with various Hive-based communities that we were trying to get to use InLeo to publish their communities blog posts. That was a big thing that came up. So that is officially fixed now on the Labs UI. Like I said, I think Labs is going to get pushed to production at some point today. So if you are in contact with any of these big communities, I know like OCD is a big one, Posh, some of these other large communities that are posting primarily from other UIs. We're actively working on getting them to post through inleo.io, and kind of adding new features to help them grow their community and monetize their community even further than they already are by being on Hive. So, that's a big goal for us, is to get these existing communities over to InLeo. And like I said, a big part of onboarding both influencers and new users from the outside of Hive into InLeo is showing them that we have an existing vibrant community. So a big piece of that is getting other Hive communities who are very active, like the Posh community, Acid Yo, some of these very key opinion leaders on Hive, getting them active on InLeo, and being active on threads, being active in comment sections and blog posts. That's a key piece of onboarding new users from the outside in. So we want to really make sure that when people come to the platform for the first time, they see that this is a positive place. It's a good place for information, and it's vibrant and full of activity. So like I said, a big piece of that is onboarding these communities. And now we've got this beneficiaries feature, which I know a lot of them were looking for us to implement, because that's how they monetize their community. So definitely an important thing, and now it's rolled out.
Nice. I am I saw a question here. Oh yeah, so Taskmaster and a couple of others are asking, what's up with the half SQL and the Leo SQL uh, part of things?
Yeah. So if you guys are familiar, about 2 weeks ago, Hive SQL went down, and Hive SQL
Three,
is what's that?
3 weeks.
3 weeks ago, Hive SQL went down, and um, definitely sucks. And I know that Arcane's worked hard to get it back online as fast as he could. But I think it exposed a big weakness on Hive, especially for a lot of projects who use Hive SQL as, a essential data feed. And we are one of them. So, we used Hive SQL as a data feed for the leaderboard feature, for the dashboard feature, and then also for Leo.voter delegations on the back end. And then also we use it for pulling our data. So like knowing how many monthly active users we have, monthly active threaders, how many threads are being created, all that stuff. We did all of that through Hive SQL, and a lot of other UIs and platforms on Hive use Hive SQL very intimately for a lot of these things. So, when it went down, it caused a lot of outages across the entire Hive ecosystem. It caused a lot of outages for us as a platform as well. The ironic thing is, we literally launched the dashboard like 2 days before Hive SQL went down. And we were also already working on integrating Half SQL, but we weren't done yet. So we were kind of like taking our time, doing it right, piecing things together, because we thought we had, plenty of time in the world to get Half SQL, perfected in the Leo node and then get it rolled out and start using things like the dashboard, delegation data, APIs, et cetera, through Half SQL. So we thought we had time. Then Hive SQL went down, and then we were like, well, shit, we need to speed up what we're doing. So we started speeding up what we were doing with Half SQL. We actually got everything working like a week later. Everything was working with Half SQL, and then it kind of blew up in our face, and we did a few things wrong that we had to go back and fix. So now we've been in the last like week and a half, we've been in this limbo mode of, Hive SQL was down, and then it just came back online yesterday. And then our version of Half SQL was like implemented, but then we had to pull it back to fix some things. So the current status of it is that Half SQL is resyncing with the blockchain. It doesn't give an estimation of how long it's going to take. So there's really no way to know when it's going to catch up with the current block on Hive. Um, I would say though it's I mean it's literally any day now. Like I've been saying that for the last like 3 days, but it's any day now. We don't have any estimation on the block timing because it just doesn't give one. But um, any day now, Half SQL would be back online. And oh, one thing I forgot to mention that used Hive SQL was polls. So we finally got polls back online, and then Hive SQL went down, and then we got polls back online with Half SQL, and then Half SQL went down. So this has been like a huge back end nightmare that we've been dealing with. Meanwhile, pushing 20 plus bug fixes on the front end, but then we've had all these back end problems. But like I said, Half SQL is syncing. It's all set up. It's all ready to go, but now it needs to catch up with the current block before it can actually like function. So as soon as it's caught up with the current block, though, you'll see polls will come back online, dashboard will come back online, delegation data will be accurate again, APIs will come back online. And then the leaderboard right now is still using Hive SQL for the time being, but I think we are going to flip it over to Half SQL pretty soon once we get everything kind of stable in Leo node. And then we're also working on, this is kind of a loose announcement. I'm not going to get too much into detail, but we're working on creating a lot more APIs. I'd say in the range of like 20 to 30 different APIs that other front ends will be able to tap into. So we're working on creating that, and I'm considering this being like the Leo SaaS arm. So there's software as a service sector, if you will, of Leo, and that'll be another revenue stream for the Leo ecosystem. And we're going to start building that out. So other UIs, I see a huge market need for that in terms of seeing Hive SQL go offline, and seeing how many other projects on Hive were dependent on it, just like we were, tells me that there's a market need for an alternative of some kind. So that is what we are going to be working on, and we're going to find a way to have it build extra value for the Leo ecosystem as well. Will the polls that were created still be in effect once half SQL is back up and running? I'm not really sure. I wouldn't. I think so, but I wouldn't even create a poll until it's back online. I just don't think it's necessary or worth it. I would wait for half SQL to be back online. Eric, so we got like maybe 20 more minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Do you want to start just pulling questions out of the threadcast, and then we can kind of rapid fire through what you guys are asking about?
Yeah. I was seeing here something about yeah, so Sami Hive is asking, I thought that INLEO is still encouraging more long form posts and other bloggers using it for publishing their content for their communities. Will it be mandatory to set beneficiary for such contents? Yeah, for example, so if you want to post to the HoloSync community, you are like the community enforces, I think 5 or 10%, I think it's 5% beneficiary to the community. So if you post from INLEO, you will still have to set that 5%. It will be set automatically. And then you will also have that 5% for INLEO, but you can delete that. Of course, we encourage people to keep that 5% because it also helps INLEO. You're not forced to do that. But yeah, that's basically it. If you post to a community that has an enforced beneficiary, you will have by default two beneficiaries: the community account and the Leo Finance account, which is the beneficiary for INLEO. Godfish is asking, how is the Leo onboarding program doing? Do we meet the goals as set by the proposal? Right now, we are receiving around $15,000, well, HBD every month. We have used about 15% of that. So we are stacking a lot of funds because we are planning something big, something huge. You're gonna be you're gonna fall off your ass.
Well, I
I
think
don't
I
think
think the
that's
big piece of it is, finding ways, building. You don't want to just jump out of the gate and start just throwing money at the problem. I don't think that is a good way to go about marketing. I think the key way to go about marketing is to spend a little bit of money on a lot of different things, find what works, and then start, leaning into what works and cutting out what's not working. So, for example, one big thing we were doing in the past was the Zeely campaigns. We were testing a lot of different things with the Zeely campaigns. As you guys can tell, we're not leaning into the Zeely as hard as we once were. I think there is a place for them still, but we're changing our approach and we're finding new ways to go about it. So, the way that you go about good marketing is, you spend a little bit of money initially. You start testing a lot of things. You go back to the drawing board. You say, okay, well, here's what's working. Here's what's not working. Here's what the data shows. We spent a little bit of money on those things. And now, we got, 100 new users from this initiative. What was so good about that? And how do we recreate it and do it even bigger? So you're going to see a lot of things that we do in that capacity. And I think a good analogy is, a lot of the businesses that have built themselves on like Facebook ad campaigns or Google ad campaigns, what you see them do is they have like 100 different campaigns that they start with. They have different text, they have different titles, they have different images, they have different videos, they have different audios, they have all these different variations. They spend, let's just say, $100 on each variation to see what gets the most attention, what gets the most of the desired outcome, and then they cut out 90 of them and they focus on the 10 that perform the best. So I would say that's a good analogy of what we're doing in terms of marketing, is like we're throwing out a lot of different fishing lines. We're seeing where people are biting, and then over time we're going to throw out more lines in those various areas that we're working. So the marketing kind of moves like this, and then all of a sudden you see that spike up. And then, like I said, having a key focus on getting the onboarding really smooth, signups really smooth, and that core experience of like, we want someone to come in and make a couple threads, make a couple blog posts, and have very minimal bug interaction. That is a key piece of what we're doing. So you're gonna see marketing really kind of like have what I just described, which is like we're casting a lot of different fishing lines with very small amounts of money. Like Eric said, we've only used about 15% of the budget. So, very small, test cases of different things and then over indexing in what's actually having a desired outcome. So I think we're going to perform really well in our marketing goals as we kind of find what works and what doesn't. And a big piece of our proposal was sharing all of this data, open sourcing all of the data of what works, what doesn't. So, as we continue to cast these lines that I keep talking about, we're going to be collecting all this data, and we have write-ups of like what's working, what's not in terms of data and in terms of like our own analysis. And then at the end of the campaign, really sharing that with other Hive UIs and saying, here's what worked and what didn't for us, and why we think it worked and why we think it didn't work, and take this data and hopefully you can run your own campaign and do something along similar lines as well.
Yeah, and the fact that we're spending so little right now, it gives us the chance to iterate without spending a lot of money. Peniel 2010. Recently, it looks like, oh, I lost it. Recently, it looks like the community is solely designed for premium users. How do you intend to get non-premium users to get to premium level? So, Peniel, basically, so INLEO is a front end on Hive. INLEO has a curation program backed by the Leo.voter delegators, etc. So yes, we do encourage and incentivize content creators through Leo.voter, but in the end, Leo Voter has 2.5 million Hive power, but there's like 180 million Hive out there voting. So while I do think that we are using the curation system that we have, which is pretty unbiased, to reward the users, the game stays the same and the meta stays the same. The votes are going to come from the community, and the support is going to come from the content creators networking, growing their brand, and increasing their relationships with other content creators and stakeholders. Yes, Leo.voter and INLEO encourages the creators, but in the end, it's not up to the INLEO team to reward everyone and to encourage everyone. It's up to you. It's up to the creators to get as much rewards as possible. And yeah, I like personally, I think as Leo voter as the icing on the cake, not as my main reward giver. You know what I mean? I don't know if you want to add something, Carl.
Yeah, premium is designed to be, and I don't think the InLeo experience is designed to tailor toward people that are premium at the expense of people that are not. When you look at any platform that has a freemium model, it's, to use the platform for free is, you get 90% of the experience without having to pay anything. And then if you do pay, you get an extra 10% of, new features, cool features, extra things you can do. That's the same model that we're following. If you are not premium, you get 90% of the UI. Like it's not like you're really missing much by not being premium. But by being premium, you're signaling, hey, I want like the full experience. I want, the advanced view dashboard. I want to be curated more. I want my name to be seen more in the For You feed. I want to be able to bookmark content into various folders and organize it better. All these different features that just enhance the experience. I want to be able to edit my threads. I want a check mark next to my name. All these things, like it's the extra 10%, but you get 90% of the features. It's all the same if you're not premium. So anyone that says that we're tailoring only towards premium, I think is missing the point. It's you can do 90% of everything by not being premium. So premium is intended to give you the extra 10% because that's what you pay for.
Yeah. And in the end, rewards are just a part of the equation in the full ecosystem. So one of the ways that we can get attention and advertise Hive to the world is by using our social media accounts for that. Yeah, Mr. Hive. I mean, I don't know if you have seen Carl's account, my account, a few other team members' accounts on X. We try to keep the content creation there a little bit of like mix of different topics, so that when we talk about Hive and Leo, it doesn't come off as oh, this guy is always speaking about INLEO and Hive, so I'm just gonna ignore him, or I'm just gonna unfollow him because I mean that's all he talks about. So one of the good ways to help INLEO get spread is to grow your Web2 presence without being just a one-trick pony or a one-topic creator. So yeah, it's all about growing our the Web2 social media presence.
You want to pick out a few more
iJets,
questions, Eric, and then hop
yeah,
off?
yeah. Um, iJets, does Leo voter only votes on the first day of publishing an article? Usually, yes, because the curation rewards drop after 24 hours. So while we do vote on old content, we try to stick to new content.
Also because you
And
catch the funnel of new content, like we're scrolling the created feed from posts that are created from inleo.io. So I think it's just kind of an organic, natural thing that, newer content is the one that gets, seen in that feed more frequently. So, catching things at the early stage of the bottleneck is important.
yeah. Mm. Self-help for trolls. Could you guys make it possible to send Leo Hive to multiple accounts in one click? That would be a cool function and helpful for sending out contest rewards.
Yeah, we're working on a big wallet update that will have, the wallet that you see now, and I've talked about this a few times, is essentially just a placeholder. It's meant to have like the most basic functionality of like sending Leo, staking Leo, sending Hive, staking Hive. Like it's so basic in terms of functionality, and it's more so just there because we know that we need to have at least the basic in place, for the past couple months. But there is a big wallet client update coming where you'll have a lot more features. So that wasn't on the roadmap, but it is a cool idea. I think we could add something like that. Obviously, there's gonna have to be certain limitations. Like I don't think you'll be able to send out 100 transactions at once, but maybe we could make it so you could send out like up to 10 um, transactions if they're all the same, and kind of queue them up from your account. So I will add that to our backlog.
Yes, Ms. Mead. I noticed Leo is not daily credited to the account. Curated, voted, and collective used to get into the account, but now it doesn't appear daily. Well, we did have the Hive SQL issue for 3 weeks, so a lot of the transactions were halted. A lot of the accounting was affected. So SQL has been up for 24 hours, I think. So expect the transactions to come back.
Well, I don't
What are
know
we gonna
what
do,
Esme
Cal?
is talking about because she could be talking about either the delegation rewards or actual curation author rewards. If she's talking about curation author rewards, you have to get over a certain dust threshold. So there's no time requirement for curation and author rewards. It's all based on Hive Engine's protocol that you have to be over a certain dust threshold before it auto claims. So if you guys know how Hive Engine tokens work, it auto claims rewards once it reaches a certain threshold. There is no like manual claim or auto claim that you can set up. It's just automatic. That's just how it's built. So, if you notice that your payouts seem to be less frequent, it might just be that you're earning less Leo, for example. But if you're talking about Leo.voter delegation rewards, like Eric said, there's been a lot of Hive SQL issues, and like I said earlier, Hive SQL was the API that we used for delegation rewards. So caused a lot of issues and instabilities, but we are building our own API. We've actually already built it, but once Half SQL is synced up, that API will be live again.
Yeah, no idea if she was talking about the content or the delegation. Mm. Are there some communities that when you publish in using the InLeo front end, you do not attract Leo.voter vote? Well, actually, no. We do tend to focus a little bit more on the Leo finance community, but if you publish from InLeo, all of the content that you create is eligible. Of course, we do have the curation metrics and we take them very, very strictly. So just focus on creating good content and you are eligible to get a vote.
There's two big elements to posting from INLEO.io. One, actually three. One, you are eligible to earn Leo rewards. That was a big change that we made recently. That now, before to earn Leo, you had to tag it with Leo. You had to tag your content, and you could earn Leo from other front ends. Now you have to post from INLEO.io, and there's no required tags. So it's just, publish from INLEO.io, and you earn Leo rewards. A big reason for that change is that now INLEO.io is meant to be a full-scale platform with no niche topics. Two, to get Leo.voter upvotes, your content has to be posted from InLeo.io. And like Eric said, there's a little bit of emphasis on the Leo finance community. And then three, if you want to earn evergreen rewards, your content has to be posted from InLeo.io. So three big rewards-based reasons for publishing content from InLeo.io directly. And there's a lot of various reasons for that.
Luis is asking, how's things going to have vote with Leo only instead all tokens? I don't understand the question, man. If you're listening live, if you can reformulate the question because I don't get it.
I think he's asking how so now that Leo is only able to be earned from the InLeo.io UI, from what I understand from this question, how does it work with voting on other tokens? Well, most other tokens work with hashtags. So if you post from InLeo.io and you tag it like Neoxian or PalNet or CTP, you'll earn those tokens the same way you would before. If I understand your question correctly, that would be the answer. The key change is to the Leo token itself, that you can't earn it unless you post from the UI. Ahmad Manga said, anyone else salty about eSency removing the boost feature? InLeo should learn from this and not remove features. Not that I'm worried about that happening. Well, the way that we develop things and release things and take things away is all based around what will drive the most value to the Leo token, build our community, what's beneficial for you guys. So, I don't really know a whole lot about how eSency's boost feature worked. I do know that a lot of people were mad about it. I also know that, if you give a baby a piece of candy and then you take it away, they're going to get really mad. But if you don't show them the candy at all, they're going to be as happy as a baby. So, I think one thing that eSency had going for it was the boost feature. I know that was a lot of the reason that people used the eSency UI. So, our goal with curation is based around quality. So when you guys create quality content, like I said, you have those three main ways of earning, extra rewards when you post your content from InLeo.io. That's kind of the entire thesis behind our rewards mechanism is like using the UI will get you rewarded. That's the thesis. And then the extra layer that we've added recently on top of that is that if you're using the UI consistently, you're earning rewards. If you're using the UI consistently, and your premium, you're going to earn more rewards. So that's kind of the whole thesis behind how we curate content. Cool guy 222 shared a bug. Yeah, we know about that bug. Actually, it might be fixed in labs already. I'm not 100% sure. And if it's not, it's on the bug list for March. It's when you're like sitting in a feed and then it shows multiple of the same thread. But if you refresh, then it goes away.
No,
When renaming the
when,
community,
yeah.
Oh, you were about to, from Leo Finance in
Yeah.
Leo, yeah. Never. So the InLeo is a platform. Leo Finance is a community. Leo Finance is not dead. It's just it's a community for crypto and finance, and it's a part of the InLeo platform now. So think of it as we used to be under the banner of Leo Finance, and everything was Leo Finance. But now, Leo Finance is a piece under the umbrella of INLEO. So the Leo finance community will remain. And I do think it's a kind of key piece of the platform. It's not the whole platform anymore. It's just a key piece of it, in my opinion. You want to grab one more question, Eric, and then hop off?
Yeah, I'm just I just clinched the second guest for Change Chatter tomorrow. So
Oh,
I was
nice.
just replying to him. Mm, mm, I don't know. I don't. Well, can we bring Ned's hair back? Not Ned, just the hair. I mean, I met the guy, and you know what? If he's gonna come at me, just let him come at me. But he was such a like low energy, you know, soy person. I don't know. You don't want him back. Literally, like he was so. Uh, he just got lucky.
Yeah, I was actually
Really.
thinking about him the other day. I saw something. I was at the gym, I remember, and I was like walking by a TV at the gym, and it had something on. It was like CNBC or something, news station, and it had something related to like founders or startups or something. And for some reason, it reminded me of Ned. Um, so I was just randomly thinking about it the other day, but just thinking about where he's at and what he's doing. But yeah, like Eric said, he was kind of a right place, right time kind of guy, more of a, a good like a face to what Dan actually created. Um, so, I do think he kind of got lucky in a lot of ways. But I actually think if you look at the history, when Dan jumped ship was kind of the downfall of Steam and Steam It Inc. It was like, once Dan was gone, it was just Ned kind of steering the ship into a pile of rocks. And we were all just kind of along for the ride until that happened. And then once it did happen, I think it was actually like the catalyst for Hive to become kind of flap its wings and become something bigger and better was when Steemit finally left. I think if Steemit never left, and if we were all like, if you assume that they never sold to Justin Sun, I think we would all be in a much worse place. I actually think most of us would have probably left by now. Um, and I think what really happened was that it was prolonged as long as it took. But finally, when they were gone, that's when like a big anchor was released from the Hive community, and that's when Hive became what it is today, which I think is in a much better place than it was. Even at like peak Steam It, if you want to say. I think it's a lot better today. There's a lot more going on, a lot more projects, a lot more decentralization. I'm not saying that Hive is perfect. Definitely plenty of issues, but a lot better than where Steam used to be, in my opinion. Let's do the last question, and then we're going to jump off. So, Mr. Hive asks, any news about Cub? So, Cub and Polycub, we've got a really big, and I threaded about this if you guys want to go and find that thread, I think about 3 days ago. We're working on a big update for those two platforms, and it's going to be under my vision of assimilating the entire Leo ecosystem back to the Leo token. So, without saying too much about it, because it's not ready and it won't be ready, like I said in that thread, if anyone can find it, we're not going to announce what's happening until the next version of polls comes out. The next version of polls is going to allow for stake weighted Leo voting. So if you have the more Leo power you have, the more your vote counts. And the reason why we're waiting for that is because there's going to be a Leo DAO vote about Cub and Polycub. And when the polls protocol is ready, then we'll release all the data and information about the plans for Cub and Polycub. So once that's all ready, that's when that will get released. So stay tuned for that. That is the future of Cub and Polycub is after that DAO vote. So that's all I got to say about that. Eric, any closing words before we jump off?
Regarding INLEO, I think we covered it all. Regarding the market in general, don't let, well, this is my perception, but don't let the price action of today and the next few weeks scare you? This is all Bitcoin doing what it does. Um, don't get scared that altcoins are suffering. This is normal. If you are convinced of your holdings, uh, stay convinced.
Absolutely. Yeah, this market is going to shake a lot of people out. It's going to be, as with every bull market, it's going to be really hard to make clear decisions. My, advice, not financial advice, but my just life advice is, and what I'm doing is to, make a plan now before things really get crazy. Write that plan down. And, when you make big decisions, like, am I going to sell this asset? Am I going to buy this asset? Is it time to cash out? Things like that. Review that plan that you wrote with a more clear state of mind. Your state of mind right now, and I can guarantee you this, is more clear about the future of crypto than it will be when Bitcoin is like pushing all time highs at like 100K. You're not going to be making good and clear decisions at that state of environment. So my advice would be make a plan now of some kind, write it down, write down your goals financially and your principles of what you're doing, and keep that written somewhere, if it's a piece of paper, if it's digitally, as a note on your computer or your phone or whatever, and review that every time you make a big decision. That would be my kind of key advice for the bull market. Same for the bear market, but especially in a bull market, because it's very hard to think clearly when everything is like sunshine and Lambos. It's very hard to make good decisions. So try to make as many decisions as you can right now with a clear state of mind. So like for me, I have an exit price of Bitcoin written down. That is, and when it hits that price and is above that price, every single day I'm selling some percentage of my Bitcoin. And that is my strategy. That's what makes sense for me financially. That same framework is not going to work for everybody, but that's how I like to approach it. And I'm not going to wait till 100K to make that decision. It's already made, and I'm just going to follow through with it when we hit that price.
Yeah, and the cool part of the new initiative or the new idea we have about the exclusive Discord channel is that we'll have a support group, or you can discuss your strategies there and come up with the best strategy for you. So yeah, I think we will publish it or give access people to it today, maybe tomorrow. Still have to polish some things, but yeah, let's get ready. And thank you very much, guys, for being here. We were 35 people throughout the whole space. Thank you very much for your support. You know that more people joining the space pushes it to more people. So yeah, thank you very much. See you next week.
Yeah, and I just thought a quick thing before I jump off. I just thought of a great use case of OnlyLeos for you and Nifty, Eric, and it would be to have
Yeah.
a sub only private group for cryptoholics, and the title of the group can be Cryptoholics Anonymous. That's my $1 million idea for you and Nifty, and you guys can talk about the mistakes you made, what you've like, kind of like AA meetings, but for cryptoholics.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty smart. Yeah.
So there's
I'll
your
get it
first Only
going.
Leos idea.
Yeah. Let's go.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you guys for Chain Chatter tomorrow, noon Eastern time, same place, same threadcast. Well, new threadcast, but same idea. Um, so we'll see you guys in about 24 hours for that. Thanks, Eric, for joining me. Mitch's mom was in town, so he wasn't able to make this AMA. I forgot to say that earlier. But hopefully he'll be back next week. He's been a busy guy lately. So see if we can grab him
Yeah.
for next week. But thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
I see you guys.